Okay, so this is quadratic because there's a 2 on top of the x. It means x is being squared. There's no other powers. What you want to do with quadratic inequalities is set them equal to 0. Add this 32 to both sides. So you get x squared minus 12x plus 32 is less than or equal to 0. And then there's two ways of solving it. You could use a graphing calculator to graph this inequality, or you could sketch the graph yourself by doing a little bit of factoring. So if you remember factoring a trinomial, you want to start each parentheses off with an x. That way you'll have x times x makes x squared. X times x would make x squared. Now we need two numbers that multiply to be 32 but add to be negative 12. Actually, maybe we can't factor this. Let me think. Need a calculator. Quick way to do it would be to take 32 divided by 2 makes 16, but we can't make 16 and 32 combined to somehow make negative 12 in the center. Let's do 32 divided by 4. How about negative 8 and negative 4? Because negative 8 times negative 4 makes a positive 32. Negative 8 plus negative 4 makes a negative 12. So we factored it. And what that tells us, wherever x values that would make this become 0, that's where it's going to cross the x-axis. So look, if you plugged in x equals 8 right here, 8 minus 8 makes 0. 0 times all this stuff would make 0. So we know the graph crosses at x equals 8. And by the same reasoning, we know it crosses at x equals 4. Watch your signs. Remember, it's the value for x that would make this be 0. If you did negative 4, the negative 4 for x minus 4 would make negative 8. That wouldn't make 0. So the graph is going to look like this. That's a sketch, but I think that's all we need in order to express the solution set. Look, I drew the graph like this and not like this. This is the only other way a quadratic could go. It could be like this. It's this shape if you have a negative in front of the squared term. But since I don't have a negative, then it makes the U shape. A student told me one time it makes a lowercase n if it's negative, n for negative. Okay, so we've graphed it. You could have done that with desmos.com/calculator. Okay, just typing this in, you'd be able to see the graph. They want to know where the graph is less than or equal to 0. So in other words, they want to know where the y values that result from this mathematics are less than 0. So if you look at the graph, it's less than 0. This is y equals 1, y equals 2, y equals 3. So it's less than 0 down here between 4 and 8. So my solution is 4, 8. And you'll notice I use brackets and not parentheses. That's because this line underneath means they could equal the endpoints.